So welcome, it's nice to see you all again. And some of you I know have watched the video and some of you haven't. So as Julie was saying, if you haven't watched the video, it's a really good place to start, because we talk a lot about anxiety being our friend or our foe, and how adrenaline affects the body and what happens to us when we're affected by adrenaline. That's really important for our young people, because a lot of them don't understand how adrenaline works. And even if they do, they might not understand that creepy feeling they get that comes over them in a corridor, or the butterflies in their stomach, or anything else, is actually anxiety. And because they don't know that, they don't know how to deal with it very well. So today's all about a discussion, but it's all about giving you strategies to help you get young people to understand what anxiety is, so they can find their own ways of dealing with it. But we've also got a lot of resources that we can give you to help you encourage them to manage their anxiety. So you'll be going away with quite a lot today, and it might be that some works and some doesn't. I mean, I know we've got somebody from Wickham High, Paul from Wickham High. We've also got us from Stony Dean. So we're dealing with a very large spectrum, but these worksheets work with every level, every age, in every situation. So yeah, I'm going to hand over to Julie now, who's going to say a bit more about it.
Hello everybody, thanks for joining us. As I said, that this is the PowerPoints that we are sharing today will be available from the website. I've been told they're on there. I can't find them myself yet, but they are there. So I'll make sure, if any problems, contact Emma. So thank you for joining us. In this session, we would like to take the opportunity to share some of the resources we've been developing that you may find useful, particularly a workbook addressing anxiety and the physical effects of adrenaline on the body. Hopefully you've been able to watch our previous recorded PowerPoint, and this will give you some of the background to our resources and the rationale behind it. A copy of the booklet hopefully is on the website. It's actually a live, it's not a PDF, so you can alter it, change it and use it as you wish. Now this is just a whistle-stop tour of our workbook, and then I'll run you quickly over some of the supporting worksheets we have also. So as you can see, the booklet is laid out in a landscape format with prompt sheets at the top and worksheets at the bottom. Can you see that? It can be printed in an A3 format, or you can do A4 and just staple over the top. So we have a schedule and keywords. The schedule starts with hobbies and interests, then goes on to what makes you feel stressed, what is adrenaline, how do stressful situations make you feel, and finishing with choosing the strategies. In this slide, we've used emojis to support the keywords, but you could easily use these for superheroes or real faces if that was more suitable for your classes, but can be that's okay.
Yeah, I don't know whether somebody's got a device. I keep getting feedback and Julie's cutting out. So if you want to hear Julie, can you mute yourselves for the moment, please? I'm going to mute myself. Just for the moment.
Can you hear me, Pam?
We can, Pam.
Thank you. I can't see any. I can't get my picture up, and I'm not sure what's going on, but I'm here.
All right. Okay, Pam. I'm going to
mute it now.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Pam.
Everything's meant to be recorded, so you can look at it back over it. Okay.
And we've just got some more people entering, so I need to say again, if you don't want, we've got another person entering. Hang on. If you don't want to be on this, can you anonymise yourself, please? So change your name, put mute on, take out your video, okay? Because it is being recorded. Thank you. Go for it, Julie.
So as I was saying, starting with keywords, you can change these on PowerPoint, and this will, you can encourage, say, if you're working with identified students, you could bring their specific interests in to hone them in and bring them on board. And then we go on to a keywords task sheet. This again, if this isn't suitable for your classes, this can be taken out. Then we go on to our prompt sheet to encourage pupils to think about their hobbies and interests. This will go on to complete a mind map on page 6. Following on from this, we give the students an opportunity to make a one-page PowerPoint slide using pictures of everything they enjoy, from music, games, pets, food, film, TV, and then ask them to present this to the group. This is then printed off and attached to the booklet. In some of our classes, though, we actually put these up on on the wall and use it as a talking point later on, and pupils can share their mutual interests. Sharing hobbies and interests encourages conversation skills, but it also encourages students to feel positive about themselves, particularly when they find others in the class have the same interests. And this is just a mind map that we complete, and then we go on to make our PowerPoints. This is where we discuss what makes us anxious or worried. We're using visual prompts, particularly for our SEN pupils that may have difficulty to making choices or having an imagination. They can tick or highlight any of these. And we encourage pupils at this point to share their experiences, how this makes them feel both physically and emotionally. Very important to start thinking of this today and sharing this with one another. This is where we just pull them all together and start to make choices for themselves. And we start using YouTube here. Some really wonderful YouTube links out there that explain everything. And again, you can take these out and put different ones in to suit your class. On the next 2 pages, we start to explain what is adrenaline and the science of adrenaline. Science of adrenaline and the effects of adrenaline is in more depth. We look at why, how, and when this happens. There are three YouTube clips on these, and we go into more depth and discuss it as a group. During our previous talk, we discussed the extra challenges pupils with sensory processing disorder have to cope with, and how these are linked to autism and ADHD. Sensory issues can be overwhelming and can make it hard to function when highly anxious, especially in a busy, stimulating place like schools. So this makes it all the more important that our students understand the symptoms of adrenaline on the body, so they can start to make good choices to support themselves and use the strategies they are learning. Many young people are confused by the physical effects that come from the feeling of anxiety, and it became especially confusing for our SEN students. So there's 2 there. Understanding the physical response of adrenaline on the body. This is emphasising, and this one particularly, that it's a normal response to a threatening situation. And this is important that they learn the reasons why this happens. And a lot of the YouTube clips explain this really, really well. So anxious and stressed, again, we start to look at how the students individually, they can choose the reaction they experience and also add their own personal feelings, emotion and responses. It's important here that we're normalising and sharing symptoms, so we all know we all have the similar symptoms, and then they understand why we have those symptoms. As if you've got a senior school, you might want to take some of this out or change it, depending on your classes. And another YouTube clip here. Drawing, I think at any age we like drawing, and it's really interesting how everybody draws themselves differently with their symptoms and how they feel with anxiety. Here we start to look at the different strategies you can try to help avoid becoming stressed and anxious, and discussing how they feel different after they play sport, relax at home, chat with friends, take a walk in the countryside, encouraging to think about the strategies that work for them, encouraging students to use their relaxation strategies at home, and this will help with emptying their stress bucket so it can keep their levels down. And once they start to understand that, they can use their strategies at different points to bring them down. This is controlled breathing. This is a student's copy, and it can be simplified. You can take all of the rest out and just have the blue square there. We all practice square breathing together, explaining that when we are feeling anxious or threatened, our breathing speeds up to get our body ready for danger. Controlled breathing signals the body that it's safe to relax, and this is also one of the first steps to practicing mindfulness. And we did explain this a little bit more in our previous video. You might like to watch that. Chris explains the rationale behind that. Here we start to introduce stop and think strategy. So stop, tell yourself stop, look and think your thoughts and feelings, pull back, practice what works, which is the strategies that we were already trying, and then positive imagery, thinking I can do it, I can go through with it. And this is the first step to them bringing their strategies into place. What strategies would they use? Emotional regulation. My stress scale, this is the emotional regulation that we use. We have low mood, things are okay, I have a problem and I need help. And we're always trying to get yourselves back at green, because green is where optimal learning is done, when we're happy, feeling okay, calm. So we start to think about, what does the emotion look like? So when you need help and you're angry, how would you feel and act? So starting to recognize those emotions and feelings. And how does it feel? How does my body feel? Why is it different when I'm in green zone to red zone? And then what can I do to help? What strategies so I could use? So they start thinking about the strategies that work at different points. This is a strategy checklist. This worksheet gives the student the opportunity to try out different strategies over a period of time and record how the strategies make them feel and whether it helped. They might like to try a walk and talk with another pupil during registration time or break time, and then record how this makes them feel. So starting to actively think about how they feel both physically, emotionally, after some time out. A mind map. When I feel stressed and anxious, again, starting to think about things they like personally. And emphasising that if strategies are implemented quickly, students can stop the stress turning into anxiety. This is just a strategy, a stressometer, again, bringing in, so they're starting to think about all the different strategies they can use. So this booklet can be adapted, altered and suited to classes. It can be used as a workbook or as an individual worksheets. Can be used PSHE lessons, tutor time, one-to-one support, and best with supported discussion groups. They can print it and use it in one-to-one interventions. One of the things we like to do is maybe take the booklet home at some part and share with families. This helps to encourage conversation skills within the home of the strategies they all use, or maybe see similarities between family members. So if you've got anxious parents, you can say, oh, well, that's why I'm anxious, and they can start to work on that. It can be used with, independently using IT, because they'll be using the YouTube links. Kept as a working document over a key stage, so you can keep adding to it, maybe visiting once a week in tutor time, and it's very good at evidence and recording progress. So that was that. That's that, Chris. So you happy to? I've got other resources if you want to see them, but that's the basics of the booklet. Back to you, Chris. Chris, you're on. Chris, you're on. That's it.
Okay, so thank you, Julie, for that. And I guess I think what I'd like to say is that at Stony Dean, we use this booklet at every age, actually. I think at year 7, year 8, year 9, year 10, it's all part of our syllabus. So our young people know it very well. Sorry, I'm still getting people entering, which is quite interesting since we've only got another 4 minutes. Okay, so I wonder if Julie could take off the screen share now.
Yes.
Oh,
You,
Chris.
Yeah.
Chris, can you hear me? It's Pam.
Hello, Pam.
Hi, I'm sorry, I'm totally novice to all this. Where do I get that booklet from?
Julie, did you send it to
The
Richard?
booklet, yes, Richard and Emma, who've been arranging all this, he's got them all, and he said they're on the website. I had a look myself, but I can't find them yet, but I've been assured by Emma they will be available. And there's another pack of resources as well.
Right, I'll have a look, thank you.
Okay, can you take screen share off, Julie, please? Love, thank you. Thanks. Should be able to find it at the top. It will have it in big red. So I just wondered at the end of this whether we did offer a discussion for anybody. I can stop the recording. If anybody's got anything specific, that obviously not mentioning anybody's names, but just things that you might be struggling in with the classroom, whether there's anything Julie and I can suggest for help, or maybe anybody else in this forum?
I think we're sharing Pam's screen at the moment.
Yes, I think we're definitely
Chris?
sharing somebody's screen.
Yeah, it's Pam's screen. It says at the
Okay.
top.
I'm going to stop people being able to share, I think, simultaneously.
Yeah, do that.
Still recording Pam's screen. Yeah, that's better.
There we
Hello,
go.
everybody.
That's better. Hello.
Nice to see you all. So I wonder whether anybody had anything specific they wanted to ask Julie or I, or...
It's Paul here, Chris. Can I just, I know this is a really broad question to ask, but what would be your top tip, like your real #1 top tip for all the students that are feeling anxious about coming back to school?
Absolutely breathing. I can't emphasize that enough. That breathing techniques, they stop us from getting anxious, because what happens is that when we start to feel anxious, our breathing quickens, and that tells our brain to release the adrenaline. So I would actually, for my young people, I get them to come in and we do breathing exercises straight away, and just getting them to just listen to their breath, to slow it down, to make sure that they always breathe out longer than they breathe in, will calm the anxiety straight away. That's my top tip, always breathing.
Thank you. And would you suggest, I think, something that we focus on remotely before September?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll just say, in the resource pack, there's some information about the Smiling Mind website. This will lead you through all of the mindfulness and the breathing, using your breathing square that I've also shared. But in the resource pack, there's also a teacher's prompt sheet when leading square breathing exercises. And the Smiling Mind website, it's all on the resource pack. I've put all the information that you need there and some ideas. And the reason why it's so important to use this, the breathing exercises, and it's accessible from key stage 2 to 5, I'd say, and adults. It just crosses the whole age range. So yeah, I definitely recommend that. Maybe tutor time mornings, everybody doing it together. And also when you combine the ideas within the booklet, it explains the adrenaline response. That again consolidates why breathing works. And those YouTube clips are absolutely superb.
They are. And also, as Paul said about starting before you come back, the best thing about breathing is to practice before. It's not something you can do when you're feeling anxious. So if you practice it when you're feeling calm, it really helps you get to understand how it works. So, I mean, I do it all, you know, when I'm feeling stressed, just come on, let's get breathing, and it just calms you down. So yeah, have a practice yourselves.
Once you start doing the breathing regularly, when you're not stressed, you'll actually feel that physical response of how your body calms down, so that when you do need to use it, it's practically instant. Once you take that deep breath in and you calm yourself down, you can feel all the levels dropping. And that's what we want them to start experiencing, that they have control over their own body. You're not a victim. You're going to take control and you're going to make choices, and that's where we're heading, is giving them choices, and it's breaking it all down. So gradually over time we start to realize that we have a choice. We don't have to be a victim of anxiety. So in the resource pack, sorry, I was going to talk about that later, but in the resource pack, there's also we have breathing squares, and we have things like a control activity, which is circles where things you control, things I can't control, and areas of concern. So they can fill this in, and this is a really good activity just to start, especially when they come back from the lockdown, to start thinking, well, I can't control what's happening outside my life, but I can control within. So that's a really good visual task sheet there, with a prompt sheet to support it.
Okay, just aware of the time. Has anybody else got any questions for us, or want to?
Yeah, sorry, you mentioned a website, but I missed which website it was. Is it the Buck Schools one?
Oh, the website to download the PowerPoints, or the Smiling Minds? Which one?
All the resources.
Oh, right. That's the resources will be on, I think, the Bucks website. Emma said they should be linked to where our video is, but I didn't see them when I went on earlier, so they may be on there now. But Emma will be able to tell you who's been arranging this. So there'll be the PowerPoint that we previously did, because there's some information on there that's really interesting that you couldn't quite see in the recording. There's a resources links which you can use within on swap and interchange with the booklet. So if you've got a higher level class, you might want to use some of those in it. And then there's the PowerPoint which we use, which is a mid-range, use of mid-range. Okay. So
Thank
yes,
you.
the BUTS website, and on there the resources is about the Smiling Minds, which is a really good resource, very simple to use. And every time you go back into Smiling Mind, it'll go back in where you last left it. So it's really useful if you're working with a class that you'll go back into that place, so you'll keep moving forward.
Yeah. I think if you're struggling to find the resources, Emma's been really helpful to us, hasn't she? So just email Emma and she'll direct you to the right place. It should all be on there.
If any problems, you can email our office and we can send it to you. But I'm sure they've got it set up by now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we've run over a bit. I don't know whether you're all rushing off to go to other training, but yeah, it's been really good working with you. Really good seeing you today. Like I say, if you have got any questions specifically for us, just email the office at Stony Dean, and we'll get back to you. Okay. All right.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
That was really useful.